As promised, you might say, I would like to talk to you about crochet. And I think that goes into the concept of active meditation, which basically anything can be. Because what is meditation but a state of awareness on the exact thing somebody is doing? And that means you don't eat and watch a movie. No, when you eat, you eat. And when you eat, you try to be focused on eating and the sensation of the food and all kinds of stuff. Rather, I just liked how I threw the wool. I don't know why. See, you're not focusing on, for example, what you're going to do tomorrow. I still do that sometimes, or what you do last year, right? When you're eating, you try to eat. But also, one cannot help that when you quiet down into doing whatever you're doing without listening to music or watching a movie, you get to a place of quietness that may feel really weird in the beginning. And as you can see there, I turned on a movie and I'm trying to do crochet. But I cannot do crochet without looking at it. And although I've now reached a point in this hat where I don't have to add anything anymore, so I don't have to count rounds, all I have to do is keep doing crochet. And you see, now I stop, because what am I doing? Am I doing crochet or am I watching a movie? Because I have to listen, I have to watch, and I have to do crochet, and that's basically a mind fuck. Like, it's an overload. And whatever you think about in terms of multitasking, I think multitasking is very useful, for instance, when you're cooking and at the same time having a third eye on your children, for instance, right? Or when you're driving, right? One part of your mind is concerned with driving, which is somewhat automatic at one point. And at the same time, you have to pay attention to everything around you while trusting your body to do what it needs to do. And so a movie is something, which is my belief, that you need to take the time for. Because then if you want to watch a movie, then you watch a movie with all your attention, right? Maybe you eat something with it, but it's better to just watch the movie, because, why do you want to watch the movie? There's probably a part of you that wants to watch a movie, and then you have to ask yourself, okay, why do I want to watch that movie? Instead of just watching it, you reflect on what you feel when you watch the characters in the movie. And see, now I stopped the movie. Well, I tried, but hitting spacebar didn't work, so I had to use the pause button. And now I can focus. You see, now my awareness is completely on doing crochet. And that's also when, not right now, but we'll come to that. So yeah, what is doing crochet? So you can see it as the string of life, right? You're taking the string of life and you are webbing it into each other. You are creating a network by using a string that may be a metaphor for life itself. And you're taking life and you're creating life with it. You can also see the string as a form of, right, the fabric of your life. You are actively creating the fabric of your life. And in this time, I'm doing it in the shape of a hat. Because I wanted another hat. So, you can either go and buy one, or you make it a spiritual practice or challenge, because I believe spirituality to be a hero's journey, right? To outgrow yourself. Doing crochet takes a considerate amount of strength in your hands. And that's why, in addition to, for example, exercising or doing, all kinds of things, push-ups or pull-ups, which all somehow use your hands, or maybe going bouldering or climbing, you can do crochet, because that's also this kind of fine work that your hands often don't really get to do. Plus, it's also relaxing. It's relaxing you. And it gives you something to do. So instead of checking your phone all the time, you could start by introducing a practice such as doing crochet. Now, I haven't done crochet all the time. I started with it, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago. My mother showed me the very basics, which you have to look up yourself because I don't know the words. But if you want to know crochet, I'm not going to do a tutorial on how to do crochet, I think. I might do that. I'm not quite sure yet. Because I have the feeling there are already so many videos out there on how to do crochet. Of course, I could always say, well, but not from me, right? So one thing one needs, or you need, or I needed in order to do crochet is time and a space where I can feel also comfortable doing it. Because when you're sitting somewhere and you're trying to do crochet, you're practicing it, and there are other people and they're constantly talking to you, that takes you out of this state of meditation, because you're basically meditating on doing crochet. And then you get to that point where your hands start to get accustomed to that kind of practice, and they start moving on their own. Sometimes I get there and then I start worrying it again, that I'm missing one of those holes or whatever. Or that the hat is maybe too big, which is my current concern. But I'm just going to do it, and then I'll see in the end what comes out of it. What I also worry about a lot is which color to take next. While a better approach is to simply finish the colors you are using at the moment and then decide when it's there. Anyway, so now I'm laying like this, but I'll soon get back into the squatting position, because what I realized while I was sitting like this, first of all, laying like this or half laying, you get kind of tired. And I also started to feel my lower back hurting or aching. And so I thought, well, I think I just might to sit in the squat again. But sometimes I like to alternate between different positions of sitting. I generally refrain from sitting on chairs. I do have chairs in my room, only I don't use them, except for piling clothes on it, like freshly washed clothes or dirty clothes, when I don't feel like either putting them into the wardrobe. Now there's just a big pile of clothes in the wardrobe, which is washed. I just didn't feel like hanging them up yet, which might be something for after the video, or while the video is rendering, actually. All right. So when I started to do crochet, the first thing I did, and that was something that came to me, an idea. I had a little phone at that time, like one of these flip phones that kind of close and you open them, you know, there's like folded over. And I did a bag for that. It's just really simple. You just crochet rows, double the length of the phone you want to make a casing for. And you can see the one I made for my current phone. It's in the previous video in Spiritual Practices number 1, Squatting for Your Life. So I just did double the length of the phone, and then I folded it over, and then I sewed it shut on the edges with whatever color I wanted to pick, which in this case was yellow. And I put my phone in there because what crochet really is, and now I'm going to introduce a term which I like, it's a power object. Because you use power, your life's energy, to create something from scratch. It didn't exist before. And now you've created it. And in the same way, you can create your body by putting effort and energy into shaping it into something that resembles your nature, which is someone strong and a body that has stability. Because if you consider the body to be a temple in which the soul resides in, and the soul is something very strong that can channel huge amounts of energy, then you also have to have a body that resembles it. Because if you consider a tree has a soul in it, and when the tree is weak, well, the soul will leave and then the body of the tree dies. That's just how it is. That's just like basic spirituality, that you become aware of the fact that you are a soul inside a body, instead of just looking at a mirror all the time and thinking you're ugly or pretty or whatever. Because in the end, that's just trying to brainwash yourself into thinking that you are awfully good or awfully bad. In the end, it's your job to do these things. And the next project, I did, I think, 2 or so of these bags, and then I did a little crocodile, like a stuffed animal that I picked up from YouTube. And that was also when I had to do the magic ring for the first time, which is the basis for doing hats. So you start by making a magic ring, and then you crochet in circles. And that's what I mean with counting. Because you start the magic ring with 6 of these, chain elements that you create when you're doing crochet. And then after you have the magic ring, you double each one. So then you have 12 elements. And then after you have doubled all 6 of them, you only double each second one. And when you've done that with all 12 of them, now you've got probably 18, because each time you double, right, 6 more come to it. And then you double each third one, and then each fourth one, and each fifth one. And when you have the circumference of your head, which in my case is roughly like 58 centimeters, then you stop adding, and I did 21 rows, 21 circles. And what I like is it's going in a spiral form, which means that it is channeling or canalizing energy in a different kind of fashion. And that can be used, if you make something like this, for dreaming even. This can help you to quiet down your thoughts and change the aura of your head, right? Where a lot of the thinking and the mind stuff goes on. And that's, of course, another thing about meditation. What it's supposed to do, it's supposed to quiet down the mind. Anyway, so I did one hat once. That's the green one I wear in some of the videos. And then I had the feeling I wanted to do another one. I've also done like little carpets, actually not little, more like, I don't know, 80 centimeters. That's like really thick wool with a crochet needle size 12, where you use really thick fabric. And then I did that in about one night because it was just crocheting rows. So not in circles, but you could do it in a circle, and then you have, you know, one of these little carpets that you can place, I don't know where. And you can do this as big as you want, basically. So yeah, I'm going to sit in a different position soon. And then you can see the hat that I'm wearing. One of the reasons I wanted to keep lying like this was because I thought people can't really see me properly, which is sometimes when whatever you're doing gets in the way with what you're imagining how it is supposed to be. And that's also something with crochet. When you start doing anything with crochet, you start and you keep going. And the way I have it usually, that while I'm working on it, I hate it. I often hate doing crochet. But I do it anyway, because I know when I'm done, I'm gonna love it. And that's why if you start with something simple, you're gonna see. I also did once a stuffed animal, Totoro. That was a piece of work, but it was also great fun. I liked it, but I gave it away as a present. So now I'm gonna sit. You see that hat? This is, I'm gonna sit soon there. I really love it because I had the idea I wanted to have a hat that's a bit thicker. So I used for the first time 2 different colors. So 2 also yarns, 2 strings. And that created this red, dark brown pattern. And then according to my feeling, I would exchange one of the colors occasionally, which is also something you probably have to look up, or I'm going to talk about it maybe in another video. Which I'm not really sure that I need to do that. And then you exchange them, and then I have, once in a while I have like, I mixed in different colors because I just like to add different colors, and that's something that my feeling then tells me, okay, do this now, and then I'll just do it. Which is also something crochet can train your intuition, but also your perseverance, your habit of pushing through, of finishing tasks, of concerning yourself with different things, of letting go. What else is crochet about? Well, also, if you see it, let's stay with the yarn for a bit. You have like a string of yarn or something, right? Or fabric, I don't know what you call that. Well, maybe I do. I mean, I just called it however I wanted to call it, or however I could call it with the words that I have available at the moment. So maybe I have to do some reading on crochet in English so I can talk to you better about it, you see? And that's what you then do. If you are interested in spirituality, then you start reading stuff about it. And whether you read my books or you just read something else, doesn't really matter. You just, you go online. I mean, there's a lot of articles. I've said that already on Medium. There's a lot of articles that I've written. You find the link in the description. And then you start reading. That's all you have to do. You start reading about these things. And when, something doesn't feel right, or you think, well, that's bollocks or bullshit, then you can also practice distancing yourself from your own opinion and allowing another opinion to stand, right? Without doing anything about it, just accepting that there's a person out there who has made certain experiences in his life that allow him to have such a viewpoint. And that's when we get back to the string. If you consider this whole ball of string or yarn or something as your life's energy, and you consider a hat the complete life of, right? That's like, when that's done, you're done, and then you're gonna die, right? And so you can either, for example, crochet only with black, and then your whole life is like pretty much the same. You go to work, you eat shit, and you're gonna die, right? That's like the basic thing what most people do. And you're gonna be afraid your whole life of dying, of course, and that's why you're never really gonna live. And if you look at that hat that I'm wearing, first of all, it goes in circles, which is how your life is, right? It's like a circle. You can have that circle going inward or outward, right? I'm trying to climb the mountain of myself, and so I also teach myself new things, and I train the things that I already know to get better at it. And what I also like is introducing new colors, and you can, if you see that hat, then the general color is like red. That's like, you know, that's how life is sometimes, you know? It's like a lot of the same stuff. But then once in a while you introduce different colors. And if you then think, okay, pretty one of the earlier circles is kind of blue, and then another blue one, and then a bit of pink, and then a bit of green, and then a lot of yellow, and then in the end it's like a lot of blue. So maybe you sometimes do some things in your life, like doing crochet or maybe climbing, and then you don't do it for a really long time because you had to do other things in between. But maybe in the end you go back to doing a lot of climbing again, right? And maybe that yellow part is being a father or something, right? Who would know? But that could be. So I often do it like this, you know, for a while I do more crochet, and then for a while I'd stop doing crochet. You know, for some time I go climbing, and then I stop going climbing. So I introduce change into my life, and I make experiences, and that's why life doesn't really get boring. And at the same time, of course, what also crochet does, it trains patience. Because you have to be patient, because some things take a while, quite a while, some things. And, you know, that's, I think, what I wanted to say in this video. Just some things about crochet. One thing I also have to say, sometimes I do crochet, and while I'm doing it, because I'm focused on nothing but doing crochet, sometimes things come up, images, emotions, and then I deal with it, but it's also a way of letting go. You take the string, you put it through one of the holes, you go through one of the holes, you take a bit of string, pull it through the hole, and then you have 2 loops on your needle, and then you take the string again, right? And then you pull it with the hook through the 2 holes you just had. And so you can see the taking the string also as an experience, right? You take energy and you do something with it, and you web it into the fabric of your own life. And that's how you start building your life. And that's an insight that I got from doing a lot of crochet. And the more you do crochet, and the more you live, and the more you introduce change, the more you also realize what is actually good for you specifically. So maybe crochet isn't really for you, but there are so many practices, sewing, or I don't know how that's called, where you have 2 needles, I don't really feel attracted to that. Doesn't matter how it's called. I think you know what people do a lot of scarves with it. For me, crochet is something, I can work with that. I really like that. And I'll rather first perfect or strengthen my skills in doing crochet before I'm doing all kinds of other things. So right now, I want to do crochet. And I think I'm getting quite good at it. So why should I do other things right now if crochet is something that works for me right now? So maybe in summer, I'll rather go out slacklining, but in winter, it's the best time of the year to do such things. Anyway, I think that's roughly all I wanted to say. I talked about active meditation. I talked about general deep shit. I talked about experiences and all kinds of things. If you're missing some points, I don't know, figure it out for yourself. This is just about talking to do something that most men would look down on because they think, oh, that's stuff for women. Gandhi made his own clothes, and I started making hats and casings and whatever I feel like making. At the moment, making hats is something that I want to do more, because then you can actually create power objects for people that can literally change their life. But for that, I also have to get more used to making hats, and I have to work myself out of this feeling of making hats as a drag, right? So I have to put effort and time into doing crochet until I have gathered enough experiences that allow me to see or believe that doing crochet is actually a nice activity. And that's also how life is. That's how anything works. Even meditation. I mean, just because I say I don't sit down and meditate doesn't mean you can't. Maybe that's for you the thing to do. For me, I'd rather do crochet because now I'm in the phase of my life where I want to actively create things. Whether that is content or food or muscles or strength, or by doing crochet, doesn't really matter. It's one of those things that I season my day with, that gives me also the feeling I'm working towards something. Anyway, that's now long enough, I think you've heard it. Cheers.